Hello everyone, 20. So 20 important questions we shall be covering in this video lecture on differential calculus. Obviously, these question will be a multiple choice question which may have possibility to be asked in the various competitive exams such as SET, NET, GATE, University and many more. So let's start the journey of this 20 important question on differential calculus one by one. So the first question in this series is a function f of x is equal to x cube is given. Here we have to find out its nature, whether it has a maxima, minima or a point of inflection or neither maxima nor minima. So before answering this question, I would like to mention here some of the important terminologies related to the maxima, minima. So point of inflection, or it is also called as the saddle point. So what do we mean by a saddle point or point of inflection? So the point where neither maxima nor minima exist. Neither maxima nor minima exist is called a point of inflection, okay, or a saddle point. So this is what is expected. So what is the condition for non-occurrence of maxima and minima? So that is nothing but, so here in this case f double dash of x is equal to 0 at the given point. So when we have f double dash of x 0, then that is called point of inflection or a saddle point. Then next terminology that one should know are nothing but a stationary point, or also called the turning point. So stationary point or the turning point means the point where maxima or minima may exist, right? The point where maxima or minima exist is called a stationary or the turning point, right? So now again we should know what is the procedure to decide the point of maxima and minima. So let's understand this with the help of this example. So what we do, if we will first of all find out stationary point. So for stationary point, the condition is f dash of x is equal to 0, okay. F dash of x is equal to 0. Let's find out the derivative of this function. So f dash of x is equal to, we have 3x square, and for maxima or minima, the minima what we have, f dash of x is equal to 0. So this gives me 3x square equal to 0. So this gives rise to the point x equal to 0. Now let's find out the second derivative, f double dash of x. So differentiating this with respect to x, we get it as 6x, and we will evaluate its value at x equal to 0, which is a stationary point. So what we find, that f double dash of x is equal to 0 at x equal to 0. So as we have seen, the point at which the double derivative is 0, it means neither maxima nor minima exist. Neither maxima nor minima exist. So that's why the correct answer for this particular question is the option number C. Now let's have one more question on maxima and minima. So as we know, working rule to find out the maxima and minima for a function of one variable. So let's follow that. So what is the working rule? We will find out first derivative. So first derivative is differentiating this. So we get 6x square minus 30x plus 36. Now for maxima minima, the derivative is equated to 0, which will give us the point where the maxima or minima may exist. So this implies we have 6x square minus 30x plus 36 is equal to 0. So this gives me x is equal to 2 and 3. So x is equal to 2 and 3 are the point where maxima or minima may exist. So let's find out second derivative first. So second derivative is 12x minus 30. So find the value of the second derivative at each of these points, which are called as stationary points, right? So at x equal to 2, what we find, that when I'll put x as 2 here, so I am getting this as minus 6, which is less than 0. and when the double derivative comes out to be less than 0, that is negative at a certain point, then over there the maxima exists. So at x equal to 2 the maxima exists. Let's see what will be the nature of the function when I'll take the next stationary point, that is at x equal to 3. So what we have here, it is 12 into 3 minus 30, that is equal to 6, which is greater than 0. So when double derivative is greater than 0, then minima exists. So what we have, that it is asked to find out the point at which maxima and minima exist. So sometimes students commit some mistake when as soon as they get xs 2 and 3, they directly marks the point where they find xs 2 and 3. So it's not the case. Here you have to mention properly at which point the maxima exists and minima exists respectively. So see, x is equal to 2 gives the point where maxima exists, whereas x equal to 3 is a point where minima exists. So that's why option should be the option number C, right? So this problem need to be solved correctly, patiently, right? Okay. Now, next question. So f of x is equal to x to the power 1 by x. Again we will apply the test. So f dash of x we will find out now. See here, we have to find out the first derivative, and the function which we observe is of the exponential form. So such function can be handled properly before differentiation, that is in order to make the differentiation easy. So we have to take the log on both the side. So log of f of x is nothing but equal to 1 by x times log x, and then we will differentiate so that we will find the differentiation easier one. So we have 1 by f of x, f dash of x is equal to, now differentiating, so we will apply quotient rule. So as per quotient rule, we get this as 1 minus log x upon x square. Okay, first function is my log x, second function is x. So applying quotient rule, you will get it as like this. Now here we wish to find out f dash of x. So f dash of x will be f of x into 1 minus log x upon x square. This is what we have here. Now, so for maxima or minima, the f dash of x must be equal to 0. So what this gives me? It gives me f of x into 1 minus log x upon x square is equal to 0. So this gives rise to 1 minus log x is equal to 0, and solving this for values of x, so you will find log x is equal to 1, and as we want to find out x, so x is equal to what? E raised to power 1. So x is equal to e is a point where this function has a maxima. So out of the given choices, we find the B as the correct one. Now let's have the next question. So here this is a problem dealing with the limits. So let's follow the rule of limits. So let's denote it by L, and we'll see what we get when we apply the limits. So it is cot x raised to power sin x. So when we apply the limits, so we need cos of 0. What is cot of 0? So cot of 0 is nothing but, as per definition, cos 0 by sin 0. Cos 0 is 1, sin 0 is 0. So what this is? Infinity. So cot 0 is infinity, and sin 0, as I mentioned just now, is 0. So we have infinity raised to 0 form for this particular limit. Now, so this is an exponential form of indeterminate, right? Indeterminate form. So these types of indeterminate forms can be solved easily by taking the log. So we will take log on both the side, and as log and limit both are linear in nature. Linear in nature means they can be interchanged. So we can write log of limit as limit of log. So we have limit of what? Log of this entire thing. So that gives me sin x into log of cot x. Okay, now so again we will check the form, which form we are getting. So here sin 0 is 0, and log of cot x, so cot 0 is infinity, and log of infinity is infinity. So what we are getting here, so we are again getting another indeterminate form, that is 0 into infinity. And as we know, in order to deal with the indeterminate form, it needs to be put first in the fundamental indeterminate form so that the L'Hospital's rule is applicable. So what are the fundamental indeterminate form? So that is 0 by 0 or infinity by infinity. So I have to put this either in the form 0 by 0 or infinity by infinity. So in order to make this evaluation process simpler, what we do whenever we have log, right, so we will keep that term in the numerator. So we will write log of cot x, whereas other term should be written in the denominator as 1 upon. So we have 1 upon sin x. Now, so this I can write as limit as x tends to 0, then it is log of cot x, and 1 by sin x is nothing but cosec x, right? So this is nothing but infinity by infinity form. So as it is converted to a fundamental indeterminate form, so let's apply L'Hospital's rule. So what we do in L'Hospital's rule, so we differentiate independently numerator and denominator. So what is the derivative of log of cot x? It is 1 by cot x, and then derivative of cot x is minus cosec square x. Similarly, the derivative of cosec x is minus cosec x into cot x. So what we find here, that 1 cosec x gets cancelled, and the simplification of numerator will become, when I'll have the cosec, cot, sec or tan terms, so it's better to write them in the form of sine and cosine. So this 1 cosec x is left, so which we write as 1 by sin x, and 1 by cot x is nothing but tan x, which is nothing but sin x by what, cos x, and this is 1 by sin x. So this is what we write in a numerator. Now in a denominator, the cot x is left, which is nothing but the cos x upon sin x. Simplify, so what you will find, that this sin x will get cancelled, then again we will write this further. So we have limit as x tends to 0, sin x will go in the numerator, and we have sin x upon cos square x, and when I'll apply the limit, so sin 0 is 0 but cos 0 is 1, so we have this as 0. So this implies the log of L is equal to 0, but we wish to find out the value of this limit, so we need to take the antilog, and antilog will give you e raised to power 0, which is 1. So that's why option B is the correct one. Now let's have the next question in the series sequence, right? So what it is here, we have to find out differential coefficient. Many times students know the answer, students know the procedure, but they don't understand the terminology, right? They don't know what exactly the question means. So here we don't know sometimes the meaning of differential coefficient. So see, differential coefficient means it is nothing but derivative, okay? This is another word for derivative. So it is simply asked to find the derivative of what? Log of sin x. So what will be derivative of log of sin x? So this we wish to find. So let's denote, say, y as log of sin x. So I have to find out the y1, that is first derivative. So what is the derivative of log of sin x? So it will be 1 upon sin x, and derivative of then sin x will be cos x. So what it gives me? It gives me cot x. So like this can be answered. Now the next thing which we have to find out here is nothing but the y is equal to 1 by x is given, and we have to find out its 10th differential coefficient, right? So this is the problem on the successive differentiation. So in the while dealing with the successive differentiation, we have seen the various standard formulae which is to be applied when we have a standard form of the function. So this function is of the form 1 upon ax plus b, and we know that in that case the nth derivative is given by minus 1 raised to n, then n factorial a raised to n upon what? Ax plus b raised to n plus 1. So such type of question can be answered if you memorize the standard formulae. right? So let's compare this function with this standard form. So what we find that here a is nothing but equal to 1, b is 0, and as the 10th differential is asked, so that's why the value of n is 10. So just putting these values over here in this formula, so what we have, the 10th differential coefficient will be minus 1 to the power 10, then we have 10 factorial, then a is 1, so 1 raised to power 10 upon what it is, ax plus b, which is x raised to power 10 plus 1, 11 simply. Now 1 raised to power 10 is 1, minus 1 raised to power 10 is also 1, so 10 factorial upon x raised to power 11. We don't find this option here in A, B, C. So that's why the correct answer is option number 10. Now the Leibniz rule for nth difference. As we know, the Leibniz rule is used for finding the derivative of the product of two functions, and the n over there must be a positive integer. Okay, so that's why correct option is A. So this can be answered if you know the basic concept of that particular theorem, particular rule. So here also, as I said, Leibniz rule is used to find the nth derivative of product of functions given, right? Now let's have the next question in the series. So it is y is given, we are just asked to find out the first derivative. So y is equal to, it is given as tan inverse of 1 minus x upon 1 plus x. So here, in order to answer this question, you should know the formulae of differentiation very well. So for the time being, let's take it as, say, capital X. So what is derivative of tan inverse of capital X? So that is 1 upon 1 plus x square. So what we have, 1 upon 1 plus x square. X is this complete term, so we will take the square of this. So it is 1 minus x upon 1 plus x whole square. And then let's differentiate this x again with respect to x. So I need to apply the quotient rule. So we will apply quotient rule. So it is 1 plus x, second function, derivative of first function, that is minus 1, then minus 1 plus x, 1 minus x into derivative of this, that is 1 upon 1 plus x whole square. In this way we apply quotient rule. Now simplifying, you will find its answer is minus 1 upon 1 plus x square. Let's simplify whether simplification gives me this or not. So minus 1, then minus x, then it is minus 1, then it is plus x. Okay, then here this 1 plus x whole square will get cancelled, and the simplification of denominator will be 1 plus x whole square, then plus 1 minus x whole square. Let's simplify this. So what we find, this is minus 2 upon, when I'll expand this, so it is 1 plus 2x plus x square, then plus 1 minus 2x minus plus x square. So this plus 2x minus 2x will get cancelled, and we are left with minus 2 upon, these two terms will get added, so 2 plus 2x square. Taking 2 common and simplifying, so we get minus 1 upon 1 plus x square. In this way we get the first derivative. Now this is again a question on L'Hospital's rule, I guess. So let's denote it by L, that is limit as x tends to 0 of sine square of x upon x. So let's apply here the one standard formula of limit, that is limit as x tends to 0 of sine x by x is equal to 1. Okay, so here as we have sine square x, so I have to adjust, I want x square in the denominator. So let's adjust that. So what we have, so it is sine square x upon here x square, x is extra, so I have to multiply by x. Now this can be written as limit as x tends to 0 of x into limit as x tends to 0 of sine square x upon x, which can be further written as limit as x tends to 0 of x, and then limit as x tends to 0 of sine x by x whole square. The value of this is 1. So we have this as limit as x tends to 0 of x into 1 as per this result, and when I'll apply the limit to this, so what it gives me, 0. So in this way, without applying the L'Hospital's rule, one can get the answer just by making use of this simple result of the limit. Now let's have the next question. So here we will first check which forms we are getting after applying the limit. So when I'll apply the limit as x tends to 0, so what we find that tangent of 0 is 0, so 1 by 0 is infinity, sine of 0 is 0, again 1 by 0 is infinity. So we have infinity minus infinity form, and in order to apply L'Hospital's rule, we need to put this in the 0 by 0 or infinity by infinity form. So I will write it as 1 by sine x, whereas 1 by cos x, tan x is nothing but cot x, so which can be written as cos x upon sine x, right? So we find that this is nothing but same as limit as x tends to 0 of 1 minus cos x upon sine x. Now check the form. When we apply the limits, cos 0 is 1, 1 minus 1 0, sine 0 is 0, so 0 by 0 form. So we can apply the L'Hospital's rule. So differentiate independently numerator and denominator. So derivative of numerator, that is cos x, is minus sine x, already minus sine, so we have plus sine x, and derivative of sine x is cos x, right, by L'Hospital's rule. Now apply the limit. So what we have, so value of sine 0 is 0, but cos 0 is 1, so 0 by 1, which is equal to what? 0. So L is equal to, the value of limit is equal to nothing but 0. So in this way it can be answered. Now the total number of indeterminate forms are required here. So we should remember the 7 indeterminate forms. So what are the 7 indeterminate forms? So it is 0 by 0, then we have infinity by infinity, then here it is 0 into infinity, then we have the infinity minus infinity in the next line, and then there are 3 exponential forms. What are the 3 exponential forms? So 1 raised to power infinity, then infinity raised to 0, and then we have 0 raised to 0. So these are all the 7 indeterminate forms. So that's why option is D. Now which of the following is not an indeterminate form? Just now we have seen 0 into infinity, 1 raised to infinity, and infinity minus infinity. All these are indeterminate forms, so therefore the correct answer for this is none of this. Now in order to answer this question, right, so we have to quickly find out the limit for this with the given information. So what we do? So in this case, it is not expected that such type of question must be asked under the category that multiple choice question, but still let's see the maximum possibility to answer this question in a very short duration of time. So what we have, so let's consider that L is equal to limit given, that is x tends to 0 of a e raised to x minus b cos x plus c e raised to power minus x upon x sin x. Now this limit has a definite value, so let's apply the limit. So we find that denominator comes out to be 0, but the value of numerator is a minus b plus c. But as this is having a finite value, so it should be of the form 0 by 0 in order to achieve that. So we have to assume that this numerator must also be 0. So a minus b plus c equal to 0. This gives me first equation in ABC. Now, so as I am assuming that this is 0 by 0 form, so we can apply L'Hospital's rule. So applying L'Hospital's rule, so differentiating numerator and denominator independently, right, differently. So what we have, this as the derivative of numerator will be like this, and derivative of denominator can be obtained by applying the product rule. So in this way we get the differentiation by L'Hospital's rule. Let's again apply the limit. So when I will apply the limit, again denominator comes out to be 0, but whereas the value of numerator is a, e raised to power 0 is 1, so a sin 0 is 0, and what I am getting, that e raised to power 0 again 1, so minus c. So I am getting a minus c upon 0. Again, as this limit achieve a finite value which is given as 2, so this should be of the form 0 by 0. So again we have to assume that this numerator must be 0. So I have the another equation in my credit, that is a minus c equal to 0. Now again, as it is a 0 by 0 form, right, so we can apply L'Hospital's rule. So applying L'Hospital's rule, we get this as a e raised to x, then this will be b cos x, then plus c e raised to power minus x as a differentiation of numerator, and denominator gives me x sin x plus cos x plus cos x. Let's apply the limit after differentiating numerator and denominator, that is applying L'Hospital's rule. So what we find that it is a plus b plus c, and denominator is, this is 0, whereas cos 0 is 1, this also 1. So what we have, a plus b plus c. Now I am not getting any 0 term in the denominator, so this is the considered as the value of the limit, but the value of limit is given as what, 2. So equating this entire term with 2, so what we have a plus b plus c is equal to what, 4. 2 into 2, 4. So this is my third equation in the list. Now solving equation 1, 2 and 3 simultaneously, solving 1, 2 and 3 simultaneously, so we will find that the value of a will be 1 and b will be 2 and c will be 1, so which is nothing but option number B. So in this way the particular question can be solved quickly. Okay. Now let's have next question. Which of the following is a fundamental indeterminate form? So just now I told you that both 0 by 0 and infinity by infinity are fundamental indeterminate form. What is the reason? So fundamental indeterminate forms means those form in which the other indeterminate forms can be converted, or those forms where we can apply the L'Hospital's rule directly. So these are the only forms where we can apply L'Hospital's rule, whereas other forms cannot be, whereas to other forms we cannot apply the L'Hospital's rule. So these are the fundamental indeterminate form. Now Taylor series expansion is expected for this given function. Okay, so how to answer this? So see here, there are certain functions which are not defined. So here it is expected to find the Taylor series expansion of this function at x equal to 0, and if you will see that if you will put x as 0, so what we have, this function is not defined. Okay, so if this function is not defined at that point, then obviously this expansion of such function is not possible, even if you will apply the set of formulae. So therefore the option D is the correct one. So I will suggest you to not to apply directly the Taylor series expansion. Before that, just check the value of the function at a particular point given, mentioned in over there. Okay, if it is x is equal to 2, so just put x is equal to 2 in that function and see whether it's having a finite value or not, and then only go for applying the methodology of the Taylor series expansion. So this, in this case, option D is the correct one, right? Now let's have the next question. So what it is given? So it is given y is equal to x raised to n minus 1, and I have been asked to find out the nth derivative. So obviously this problem can be handled very well by applying the Leibniz rule. So let's see, first find out the first derivative. So yn, what will be yn? So here you will find that the yn, that is nth derivative, is equal to, so here we will apply on the right hand side the product rule. So it is x raised to n minus 1, and then derivative of log x is 1 by x, plus then derivative of x raised to n minus 1 will be n minus 1 x raised to n minus 2, and then log x as it is. Okay, now here as I told you that when we solve the problem by Leibniz rule or solve the problems on nth differentiation, then in that case if we find certain variable terms in the denominator, so in order to make the differentiation process simpler further, so we have to take this in the numerator. So we will multiply throughout by x. So what we have, xy1 is equal to x raised to n minus 1, and then plus n minus 1 into, if I will multiply this by x, so the power of x is already n minus 2, and if I will multiply by x, so one more power will get added. So what we have, n minus 2. So it is x raised to power n minus 2 plus 1, that is n minus 1 into log x. This is what we have here, right? Now look at this term. So this is nothing but same as y. So we have x raised to n minus 1 plus n minus 1 into this is y as per the given expression. So what I am getting, xy1 is equal to this. Now let's, as we want nth differentiation, so already one time differentiation is done. So let's differentiate this result. How many times? N minus 1 times, because out of n times 1 is already utilized. So how much is left is n minus 1. So differentiating above expression n minus 1 times, obviously with respect to x. So here it is xy1, it is to be differentiate n minus 1. Here we find the product, so I am going to apply the Leibniz rule. Now what is the n minus 1th derivative of this expression? See here, the power of x is n minus 1, which is same as the order of differentiation. So in this case, the result is n minus 1 factorial. This we have seen while studying the successive differentiation, right? So when the power of x as well as the order of differentiation both are same, then it comes out to be that factorial. Okay, then plus n minus 1 is a constant and derivative of y n minus 1 times will be y n minus 1. Now let's apply the Leibniz rule. So x as it is, first function, n minus 1th derivative of y1, so just add these suffixes 1 plus n minus 1. So what I am having, this is nothing but n. Now n minus 1 times differentiation is done. So in a Leibniz rule, what we have here, n minus 1. Note, this is important. N minus 1 times we are differentiating. So n minus 1 must be there. Then differentiating x and decreasing the power of this by 1. So what we have, n minus 1. Now as this is getting further differentiated, so derivative of 1 will be 0 in the next term, so it's over in the next term, is equal to n minus 1 factorial plus n minus 1 into y n minus 1. Now you can see here, this is common, so that get cancelled, and if you rearrange this, so you will find that yn, it will be nothing but equal to n minus 1 factorial upon x, which is given as in the option number B. Excuse me. So like this it is answered. Now next question in the sequence is y is equal to tan inverse of x is given, and we have been asked to get this type of results. So everywhere the first derivative is required, so let's differentiate. So y1 is equal to, what is the derivative of tan inverse of x? That is 1 plus x square. Now when we differentiate and when we find variable term in the numerator, so we take that in the denominator, then we take it in the numerator. So what I am having, 1 plus x square y1 is equal to 1, which is nothing but the option number B. So I hope this is very easy to answer. Now the Taylor series expansion, in order to answer this question, you should remember the Taylor series expansion of all the standard functions. Then only it will be very easy. Otherwise finding the Taylor series expansion of every function will take the time, and which is not worth answering for 1 marks or 2 marks. So here this is standard function whose expansion is given by this, where we find all the terms negative and all the powers of x, and whatever is the power of x, so that by that number only it is divided. So x square power 2, so by divided by 2, power 3, so divided by 3, like this. So you should yourself create the easiest way to remember the Taylor series expansion of the all standard function. If you wish, you can refer my video lecture on successive Taylor series expansion of the function. So let's have the next question. Maxima and minima occurs alternately, simultaneously, rarely, or once. So as per the theory of maxima and minima, we know that every maxima is followed by minima and vice versa. So between two maxima there is always one minima, or between two minima there is always one maxima. So they occurs alternately. So in this way we have covered total 20 important questions on differential calculus. So I hope you must have realized the severity of the basic concepts required to answer the questions, right? So evaluation is not done everywhere, only some basic concepts if you will apply, then you will be in a position to answer the multiple choice questions. So thank you all for watching the video.